Well, we're in the second drone age.
Drone strikes have saved lives.
Can we shoot them down if over our property?
Drones.
New York Times newly declassified video shows U.S. killing of 10 civilians in drone strike. And says your Washington newly declassified surveillance footage provides additional insight about the final minutes and aftermath of a botched U.S. drone strike last year in Kabul, Afghanistan.
Oh, this was Biden's like revenge strike, trying to act tough during the Afghanistan pullout. Everybody was calling him weak. He's like, I'll show them how tough I am. Drone strike that fool. And then he killed like 10 kids.
I'm sorry I laugh, but this is seriously some like comic show level stuff.
I know.
Where he's like, I'll show you. And then like, accident, they're like, hey, you're weak, President. What are you doing? I'll show you. And then a drone strike. And they're like, what are you doing? You're killing innocent people.
You can't do anything right. You were going to bring up Space Force again, weren't you?
I was not.
Okay. But yeah, it really is. It's like a Space Force thing. Like it's
comedy.
If it wasn't, it's funny because it's so horrible.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't so horrible, like it would be funny.
It would be a TV show plot, or something where,
Every time Biden tries to act like a tough guy, it shoots him in the foot. This drone strike, every time he tries to be like tough on anti-vaxxers, he sounds like a loon. And when he tries to give a big long speech, he just accidentally tells Russia that he's going to let them invade Ukraine. Like, he just can't do it, man. He ran on this like cute Grandpa Biden thing, and when Grandpa gets mad, he just looks silly.
Well, especially now with the internet, people are scrutinizing every syllable, every word, especially if you're president.
Yeah.
Let alone some podcaster.
Yeah.
But this is more of that, I guess. But there's not much to the story other than the headline here. We can get into all the details.
We know the story,
blah, blah, blah. But
But the fun part is that there's footage now, and when I say fun, I mean horrible. Why don't you let's do a couple paragraphs just to say we read the news.
Okay. The strike on August 29th killed 10 innocent people, including 7 children, in a tragic blunder that punctuated the end of the 20-year war in Afghanistan. The disclosure of the video was a rare step by the U.S. military in any case of an airstrike that caused civilian casualties, and is the first time any footage from the Kabul strike has been seen publicly. The videos encompass about 25 minutes of silent footage from 2 drones. A military official said both were MQ-9 Reapers, showing the minutes before, during, and after the strike. At the time, blurry footage that operators were watching will continue to be scrutinized for new details about how the episode unfolded, while demonstrating the heightened risk of error that accompanies any decision to fire a missile in a densely populated neighborhood.
I love this. They are trying to actually kind of defend Biden in a way, because he ordered the drone strike. He is responsible for it. And you're right. They almost never release this stuff. If you ever get to see this type of footage, it's because it was leaked to like WikiLeaks or something, and somebody's in jail for whistleblowing. But for it to actually be released by the military, and this writing about it in New York Times, the at times blurry footage it'll be continue to be scrutinized, but you can see it's a heightened risk of error. It's a hard thing to do, to kill one guy in a neighborhood with a drone strike. It wasn't easy to do. You can see how the military guy who actually pulled the trigger had a hard time doing it. And it's kind of serving to take pressure off of Biden. Biden was the guy who gave the order. And why do this and exclusively comment about, see how hard it is to do a good job with drones?
It is interesting because, all the ESG, the Great Reset, 2030 UN Sustainable Development, all of it, one of the themes that we've tracked from all that is transparency. We need more transparency. And in this occasion, I mean, I think they used the Freedom of Information Act to get the footage. Yeah, New York Times obtained the footage of the strike through a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the United States Central Command. So it was a lawsuit. It wasn't just like a FOIA request. But in any case, to release the footage, there has to be almost like the appearance of transparency.
Yeah,
the New York Times can spin it like this, obviously. But
they are putting that spin on it, and I do want you to go off on the transparency thing, but punctuated by this sentence here: the scenes unfolding on the video are murky. In retrospect, it is clear that the images were misinterpreted by those who decided to fire. So, oopsie daisies, those who decided to fire. Look, they don't fire without the go-ahead from the president.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, this is pretty straightforward. But it also, I think part of it is also setting up for more autonomous or more clear decision-making tools, AI, robots. That's always an angle to consider with this as well. Like, the humans using grainy footage is not good. But and plus, in theory, I mean, not theory.
Because they do stress that spotting that. So there's a child in the video. And they're saying, well, but spotting that was obviously only in hindsight with the luxury of time. Like, a human being couldn't have seen that child at the moment. Yeah, if only there was an AI.
According to some military friends and brethren, there are already drone technologies that are much more precise, like swarms of drones that go down and take a person out and then leave and barely leave a trace. That kind of stuff exists. So if they really want to do it, they could. The only reason why they would use this type of this level of the public available weapons and everything else is for some kind of political fodder. And in this case, I just have a hard time believing that any of this happens in a vacuum. The strike, the footage coming out, like it just all feels like a very controlled thing. And part of it also is to weaken the United States, I believe. Public confidence in governments, especially because if like the World Economic Forum and the UN and those guys know that they're losing influence, they don't want nation states to regain any of that. That's part of the Trump's whole thing. Right. So even if it is under Biden, if the United States comes together and they're like, no, we don't want to, we don't want this, that's a problem too. So anyway, just, some spin-off analysis of all this stuff. But the second era of drones, as you reported a few episodes ago, begins with the declassified footage of the U.S. government taking people out, taking innocent children out.
A bad old drone. Yeah. A bad old drone killing 9 children.
This is from the first era. We're in the second era now. We are in a new epoch.
Yeah, we got to get the humans out from being involved in the drones.
Right. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, look at this sloppy old human-managed drone.
How is a human supposed to tell that those are 9 children running around? They don't have robo eyes.
Yeah, they don't have biometrics and social media spiders.
Okay.